Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Bar. We have Chou with us today. He's in sports innovation and entrepreneurship, managing director at Stadia Venture. Interesting guy altogether. We're going to talk about sports in the sports industry today, which Art has a ton of experience into. I see that you have penned that you've occupied various jobs here. I see like biz dev, right? Like you've listened to the past guests talk about sales and so forth. You've been in golf as well, Art. So tell us a bit more about yourself and what you're up to.
Oh, thank you. Welcome. Thanks for being here, Charles. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I think I think I have professional ADD in that always bouncing around to different ideas. But yeah, on my background was I got into I was an engineer by training and got into defense a little bit because that's what my dad was. And my dad was a professor, but had a defense subcontracting company as an entrepreneur. So that's why I learned entrepreneurship is when he was doing that. But I was always an athlete growing up. Always loved being around sports. And that was back in the days. You should do what you love. Do it. Find out what you love and do what you love. And I loved sports. And
Nowadays, you alternate between Rapsodo and Stadia, right?
Yes. Rapsodo. So I founded them both about the same time. Actually, Rapsodo was I wasn't the founder, but helped basically start the whole North American business for Rapsodo, doing mostly ball tracking in the baseball and golf business, and then now back to full time Stadia Ventures, which is essentially innovation, and we have an innovation consulting business, if you will, in addition to helping startups.
So people consult with you to innovate on their product, on their marketing, on what level exactly?
Yeah, so on the Stadia side, so it started off. So we started Stadia as a sports tech accelerator right back in 2015. My co-founder and I, Tim Hayden, we were both entrepreneurs in sports, and both were business development people, but we were not finance people. We were not investors. We were not venture capitalists. But accelerators were kind of growing, and we wanted to create this hub to help founders. And so we created a sports tech accelerator program. Had to start a fund with it. Did 2 cohorts a year from 2015 to 2023. Over 80 companies in portfolio. But what we were good at, I'll say, was the business development side, and then the corporate clients that wanted to come in and have access to the innovation community. I would say we were not as good at as the fundraising. We were not finance people, so we were not as good at the fundraising side. So it's morphed into more of a innovation consulting business. Corporate clients that want access into the sports industry, that maybe they have technologies they want to get to teams, leagues, or teams and leagues that don't have their own internal innovation department, that want access to kind of the deal flow and to see what's out there, keep their finger on the pulse of new innovation.
Right. And has it been profitable, one, on the VC side to consult with these companies? Most of them are hardware, right? And hardware is hard. And two, on the consulting side of things, like, is it something that you do to make big money, or is it just mostly a passion?
Yeah, it's mostly. I gotta say, it's passion first. If you were after a complete ROI on this business, this is not. This is not the. It really is more of a consulting business, which is. It's very much. Yeah, it's a good business, but it's a relationship business. It's a people business, and that's what I'm at the point in my career now where I enjoy that. I enjoy the personal interaction and the relationship building as maybe even more than actually making a sale.
Right. And Rapsodo, where is this technology used specifically? Because I watch Full Swing, right, on Netflix.
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
watch golf. I think watching golf is very boring. Watching Full Swing is nice because is like way more adapted to nowadays brains. It's quick, we get the mindset check of the athlete and all of that. But is that the technology we see, like when we see the red stripe and where the ball is
Exactly.
going?
Exactly. That's exactly. So the guys out of the industry now, the top are TrackMan. So TrackMan are the ones that are out on PGA Tour. If you turn on the TV, you watch the tournament, you see that shot trace, and you'll notice a box on the back of the tee of every tee. It's a radar unit that is doing the Doppler radar that's tracking that. So that business has morphed from this big, more industrial sized product down into personal use, and that's what Rapsodo did. So Rapsodo it did mostly radar and computer vision combination to create a more economical, affordable ball tracking technology. So have personal units. You can get one for $300, and utilizes the camera in your phone. Baseball units we sell to MLB teams, sell to all the colleges that are thousands of dollars, as opposed to $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 for pitchers to measure their breaks and their trajectories and things like that.
And couldn't AI machine vision do a better job than radar tracking that ball?
It is completely changed over, yes, to the computer vision side. The radar helps make it a little bit less expensive because then you don't need the high frame rate camera. So you kind of combine the radar with the camera. So you don't need expensive radar, and then you don't need expensive camera. But yes, Hawkeye is probably the best example now of that. Hawkeye doing all the line calling for the tennis tournaments, do the cricket. They have that Major League Baseball now, and that's primarily computer vision.
And what is Hawkeye? They check if the ball is in or out via human subjective judges.
Yes. Hawkeye, turn on when you turn on the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open or
That's great,
Wimbledon.
man. So that they can't argue with the judges that are wrong half the time.
No more arguing.
Oh yeah.
They can still argue. You'll see. There was just a report. I forget who it was. That was marked the point in the clay. The ball. He said the ball's out, and he goes and he circles the part in the clay. But the referee said, "Sorry, we agreed to go by."
Should there even be a referee at that point? Aren't they like totally useless? Shouldn't like an AI just be calling the shots there?
They have one umpire. They have still the guy in the chair, but they used to have the linesmen at every line, right? They're looking and making sure those guys are all gone. Yeah.
Like, do people even want to be referees nowadays? It seems that every one of them are getting shit on all the time, especially in football and soccer, right? Like soccer is notorious from people faking and being like at the referee, and the ref is like, yeah, that's what I saw. Don't you think like AI should be refs and be calling this? I mean, we need a human, I guess, like an authority, because like the players would probably not listen to bots or something. Maybe that's the human aspect of it.
Definitely, because they're going like in baseball in the USA, and the U.S. baseball, they're finally going to AI to computer vision for whether there's a ball or a strike, right? And they're gradually switching, and they still have an umpire sitting in back, and now it's you can contest it, but eventually it'll get to the point where it's completely, because then there's even if it's not 100% accurate, even if it's 98% accurate, at least it's consistent, and it's not, it doesn't favor one side or the other. So yeah, it's definitely going that way.
And are you still bullish about golf with Live, what we've seen via the PGA? And it seems that there's much space to innovation. It seems that golf is a sport that most can practice. Even Trump at 75 is always on the golf course. So like, what do you see in golf in terms of innovation and potential growth in the next couple of years and decades?
Golf has always been the leader in sports technology, because that's the dollars. That's where the dollars are. And not only
where Wall Street is, yeah.
Yes, because you have the most users, right? And then it's a consumer business, and the consumer profiles for golf are very high, right? The spending per capita in golf is really, really good. So you have the broadcast and the consumer side of it, which most of the major sports, especially the team sports, don't have. You don't have the consumer side of it. So that's where it really starts. Yeah, I think it'll always be at the forefront of technology. I think Live has introduced some interesting parts in terms of the whole Formula One approach to golf, because especially for us, us North Americans here, that most of us are not that familiar with Formula One. Because most of us have not attended, don't view it, and the whole idea of how it's presented, and this kind of that whole week-long event it's unique. I think they got a little bit ways before they're going to survive Live, but I think what they've introduced, I think is it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but Like it's a classic example of like people with a bunch of money and not much brains just like
Yeah, yeah,
investing billions, tens of billions into something that's never going to be profitable, like never ever. And you don't need to be a genius to understand that. I think it's similar to tariffs, right? It's like
yeah.
it's a very shaky,
Well,
basic formula with no basis, but certainly interesting what they brought. And yeah, they hired the best in the world, right? Like to promote these things, the best in marketing, the best in events, the best athletes, right? But I don't think that you can just throw money at a problem and hope for it to
well,
be solved as a
I,
business. That is.
I think if they, a few years from now, if they end up having some sort of partnership, and they get and maybe the PGA Tour has some events where they're doing live style team golf, and then the live people have some influence in the PGA Tour, I think they would say, yeah, we spent
Let's
we bought
break even.
we bought our way into that. Yeah, it cost us, I don't know, $1 billion, and I think they'd probably be happy, and the
Yeah, it'd
tour.
be a PR exit, right? Like the prince would have saved face and would have break
Exactly.
even and not repeat the same mistake again.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I think that the kingdom is doing good things. On the other hand, maybe that's one of their flops, but I think that they've done pretty good investments also, like in tech. Not sure how Uber stock is doing right now, but Uber is an amazing company. We all use it, right? We can assume that was a good one. The Neon project and all of that. I think they have like good picks as well, but that one was eyebrow raising for sure. What sports tech have you seen as of late? I see like a football helmet behind you. I've seen about these football helmet protectors, right, for concussion, because it's a huge problem in football. People retiring from football and all of a sudden having these depression,
Yeah.
having all kinds of brain diseases, right? And some of them committing suicide. So that's a huge problem. The sports and forgot the name of the company that was building that helmet, but that one was pretty big, right? If it's throughout NFL.
Yeah, football helmets. It's funny because I was in it when I was at Rawlings. We had and then we got out of it, and it's a very tough business because you don't really at the youth level where the volume is. If you want to go to the consumers, there's not a good ROI because most of the teams are not willing to pay for technology. Concussions continue to be absolutely a big part of sports, but there still is no direct correlation with, hey, if you use this helmet, you will have less concussions. There's no, there's a somewhat of a disconnect in the science. We spend a lot of our time nowadays on these kind of human development, human performance technologies. And I think the latest trend, it's really a crossover with sports and healthcare. And a lot of the startups you find are really healthcare companies, but they're using sports as a way to get in. A lot of it in the personalization used to be only the team could afford to have this technology, and they own the rights. And nowadays, it's all into the personalization of being able to have something on your personalized, knowing this data. Maybe you're tracking it with your sleep. Maybe you're tracking other performance data, even down to companies doing muscle makeup and be able to personalize workouts based on my right hamstring is a little bit stronger than my left hamstring. I need to work this out, and it's almost like MRI level data that you can get as an individual now to really help customize your performance.
Yeah, the recovery stack is gigantic,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
we see these pools. Maybe you've watched that Aaron Rodgers documentary on Netflix, in which he's like in recovery and he's like running in that pool with cameras. Must have cost like more than 100,000, that little pool and all that technology. Yeah, we're seeing these hyperbaric chambers. We're seeing cold plunges, which is not really technology, but I guess we can get into fancier stuff. We see saunas, we see training rooms, right? We see lots of great companies popping up. I mean, Fitbit didn't start that way for sure, but yeah, there's been. Peloton that you could consider as sports tech for sure that has
sure,
been very
absolutely,
successful as of late,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the driving, it always comes down from the top. Right? Most of the sports tech, it starts from the top, the professionals, and then filters down. And at the top levels, the salaries have gotten so high that missing one game, missing it's a huge impact. So injury prevention is probably the main driver of technology in sports right now, even more so than team makeup or personality profiles or decision making. It's injury prevention, because that hits the owners right in the wallet, and then it just filters down from there, that healthcare model down to the consumer.
Right. And tell me more about the model of hitting professional teams first, because another company that obviously caught my eye in that field is like AG1, but I do think that they started with consumers first and then they went into
Yeah.
professional team. They use all that cash to reinvest and get like big partnerships, right? So tell me about the opposite of that. Like, why would someone get in the sports world first in a professional team and then go to the consumers? Yes, they get the athletes as testimonials and all of that, which is huge for consumers, but getting these athletes to the first place to adopt their technology seems like an almost impossible milestone, right? You need to prove that it works.
Right.
You need to have capital to invest in R&D. So tell me about that model and why you
Yeah,
think it works.
it really depends on the level of technology you have, and the education process. Like a Rapsodo. So what we did was the idea of being able to track spin rates on your pitching, whether you're cricket bowling or you're pitching in baseball. It was brand new. And so the idea is, hey, we can go and we can sell to teams and be able to show them that they can get this data, but there's only so many professional teams, and it's not that good of a market to limit yourself there. But then if you look at all of the amateurs below that, that's where the real market is, right? There's millions of baseball players as opposed to just a few hundred professional players. So the idea is, if we can prove the technology works up here, get credibility, and then use that credibility to say, hey, if you aspire to get better, do what the pros are doing, and then go down to the colleges, the high schools, the academies, the youth teams. That's kind of the proven model. Is you establish the credibility at the high end. Maybe you break even selling to the pro teams. You don't make that much money, but then it's really this whole recruitment business, especially in the U.S., where families and players are willing to pay to get better, to make the high school team, to get the college scholarship, and you're going to tap into that. You're going to just tap into that network.
Yeah, and I think the best way to do that is to partner with the next national athlete, for example, as a
Yeah.
co-founder, for example. I think that would greatly facilitate that. You talked about baseball. Isn't baseball like in massive decline? And what about other new sports like the UFC? Are these is MMA one of the fastest and potentially most profitable sports out there right now?
Yeah, baseball. It's interesting because baseball viewership I think is fairly flat. Yeah, and they're working hard to get their viewership younger, and they're working on it. But the thing is that it still has a real stranglehold on the U.S. because they have so many games and it's broadcast so widely. So it really does have a lot of coverage. I don't think it's I don't think it's in decline, like it's going to go away. It's going to stick around. The NFL and the USA NFL still is by far is the largest league dollars wise. UFC is interesting. UFC is primarily it's primarily a broadcast sport. This is not something that you get down to having a lot of youth development but it's a huge broadcast sport, and I think they will continue to work on technologies that make the broadcast more entertaining. So I think there it becomes less of the growth is less than of a player development issue. It's really more of a broadcast issue. Although when we toured the UFC's facilities last year, it was really interesting that their issue from a player development was injury prevention, because they don't want to pay all this big money and then a week before the bout have somebody get injured, and all of a sudden then they have to go to the next on the card. But the fighters are all independent contractors, so they cannot force them. It's not like a team. They can't force them to go to this approach from a hyperbaric chambers or this philosophy. So there's this push pull that they have. They have to convince their fighters to do this. It's in their best interest while they're protecting their broadcast, the value of the broadcast with the high end fighters.
Right, because I think UFC is infinitely more exciting than baseball for most, like that if you're not considering boomers in that equation. But yes, I think you're touching into a very important problem. Another problem that they have is weight cutting. That is
Yeah.
total BS,
Yes.
and that's directly related to injury prevention. If like you have a guy like Pereira that's cutting literally
Yep.
like 30 pounds, he's like a monster next to this other guy, and he's gonna injure him for sure because he's just like a different animal, and also it puts their health in dangers when they're cutting weight. They can lose consciousness, they're less healthy as well,
That's right.
so
That's
that their
right.
performances are less good. So yeah, they have all kinds of pros and cons. And yeah, I didn't know that they were independent contractors, right? And sometimes it's quite surprising how low the purse can be when they win a fight. I was reading yesterday, like Paddy the Baddy got paid like 24K just to win and to knock out someone. That's very low, 24K can do that like in a month, and this guy has like fights every
Right.
year or so. So that's pretty bad. And yeah, they need to maintain their athletes, right, and give them the motivation. So yeah, Dana White's probably one of the most savage CEOs out there. Like I very much trust in that guy making it happen, but I think it can also counter against him. There's been a bunch of fighters speaking against that, and I think he's constantly like trying to fight PR wars, So it's like how do you
Yeah.
survive all that PR bullshit?
But I'm with you. I mean, certainly, I don't know where it's going to come, but in terms of growth potential, yeah, they absolutely have the best growth potential. Because when we went out, they're very bright guys. We met the leadership. These are very, very shrewd business people,
Shrewd is the word, yeah.
they know what they're doing. Very smart. I would certainly bet on them.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on, Art. Where can people find out more about you?
You can go to our website, stadiaventures.com is a bit of our business. Rapsodo.com also is our Rapsodo company. And then, of course, just reach out on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is always the best.
All right.